Today's show brought to you by redcon1.com. That's right. Click the link at the bottom of the podcast app in which you are listening to this on. Check them out. Use promo code T20Quartermiss. That's right. redcon1.com.
There's nothing special about being American. None of you can define for me what an American is.
I am the nation. I was born on July 4th, 1776, and the Declaration of Independence is my birth certificate. The bloodlines of the world run in my veins because I offered freedom to the oppressed. I am many things and many people. I am the nation. I am 200 million living souls and the ghost of millions who have lived and died for me. I am Nathan Hale and Paul Revere. I stood at Lexington and fired the shot heard round the world. I'm Washington, Jefferson, Patrick Henry. I'm John Paul Jones, the Green Mountain Boys, Davy Crockett. I'm Lee.
Coming to you from the DTOM Studios in the free state of Florida, sponsored by Maker's Mark Bourbon, this is Don't Tread on Merica. How's everyone doing today? It is Monday, November 10th, 2025. Took a little bit of hiatus. I had a 3-day weekend. Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I don't usually take those, but it was an action-packed weekend of fun. Which actually brings us to the show today. So Saturday, what did I do Saturday? It was action-packed. I don't even remember what I did. What did we do Saturday? I don't know. We did something. I have no idea what the hell we did. Oh, we had a fucking yard sale. That's right. Made so much money. That's why I forgot. Not really. Anyway, did that. Went out to dinner. And then Sunday, me and a friend of mine, we went down to Miami to watch a football game. Watch the Bills. He's a Bills fan. I am not a Bills fan, nor am I a Miami Dolphins fan. I am a Buccaneers fan, which they got beat yesterday also, but nonetheless. We went down, saw Bills Miami, which the Bills should have triumphed, and they did not. And on the drive home, it's about a 4-hour drive home to where I live from Miami. Had a conversation. We started talking about things. The world of sports as we know it today, and this whole betting and gambling and all this stuff, and it brought me to an epiphany, which is going to be the topic of today's show. But before we get to all that, guys, a couple things. Please make sure you're following the show on Rumble. Now, I have something interesting to say about Rumble. Rumble, the bastion of free speech. Anyone can go to Rumble, and it's free speech, and you can say what you want. No dinging, no whatever. I call bullshit on that, and here's why. My show that I did the other day, the right-wing cancel culture of the right wing, where we talked about Tucker Carlson and other things like that, and the people or organizations who may be behind this, video never uploaded. Interesting. It will not get past 94% on the upload. Never had a problem before uploading stuff, but obviously they're treading on us. Even the Great Rumble is treading on us. But still, follow the show on Rumble, DontTreadonMericaTV. Hopefully, I can get that show uploaded. If not, I don't know what to do. It is what it is. You can listen to it. That's all that matters. Really. I'm just trying to get some followers on Rumble for whatever fucking reason. They're becoming as bad as YouTube. But we'll get to all that here in just a minute. Right now, we're going to crank it up with a little bit of Damn Yankees. Don't Tread on America version, courtesy of one Ted Theodore Nugent. If you know the words, please sing along. Merica. Come on, sing along. Let's go. Merica. All right, guys. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, patriots, truth seekers, and anyone who's ever screamed at a referee for a bad call. Welcome to Don't Tread on America. Of course, I am your host, Don Q, coming to you live from an undisclosed bunker somewhere in the American heartland because, frankly, after what I'm about to say today, I might need witness protection. Today's show is going to be titled, The Fix is In. How sports betting turned America's games into Wall Street Degenerates, and why the leagues are complicit. Before we get into all this, guys, a couple of things. Please, make sure you follow the show on social media. Don't Tread on America on Facebook, Instagram, True Social, and the Ticker Talker. And, of course, on the Twitter X machine, DTOM Podcast 1776. And like I said before, follow us on Rumble, Don't Tread on America TV. I'm beginning to think there's something going on there. Been having issues with my page, with my feeds getting uploaded. There's something going on there. And that will probably have to be a show for another day because I want to focus on this today. Guys, a couple things. Also, make sure you follow the show. If you're not on social media, go to the website, DontTreadonMerica.com. Subscribe. I don't spam you. I don't give you a bunch of shit. You'll just get show updates. But from there, you can access all the social media profiles. You can also go to the DTOM Store, where I encourage you guys to go and get you some merch. All proceeds go to Tunnels and Towers. I don't take any profit. Okay? I've made it as cheap as I possibly could to actually give you free shipping and all that fun stuff. Free shipping. Guys, the money goes to a good cause. Help me, help you, help them. Also, if you have any questions, any ideas, anything you want to talk to me about, you can email me, DonQ at Don't Tread on America. I got a special show coming up this week sometime. I don't know the exact date. I am working out the details. I will have a special guest on the show. Not anyone you know. Not anyone that you know that's been on the show before. It's not like that. It's actually going to be an interview show of somebody. So it's interesting. I'll keep you up to date on that. It'll probably be Thursday or Friday. I might record it Thursday, but put it up Friday anyway. So we're trying to work out the scheduling details between her schedule and my schedule. That's how this works. At any rate, guys, I guess that's it, right? We're going to get this show cranked up here in just a second. So please listen intently, because I've got some juicy nuggets of thoughts of what's going on in the sports world today. So please, hang tight. All right, guys. So we're going to start this off with the news that you've probably already heard about. This was last month in the NBA. So let me paint the picture. October 23rd, 2025. The NBA season is 2 days old. The FBI drops 2 indictments like atomic bombs. 34 people arrested, mafia families, rigged poker games in the Hamptons, and right in the middle, you have Chauncey Billups, a Hall of Famer, a head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers. You also have Terry Rozier, starting guard for the Miami Heat, and Damon Jones, former Cavs player, LeBron's old shooting coach. Billups charged with being a face card to lure millionaires into mafia-rigged poker games using chip tray analyzers, and remote shuffling machines. Victims allegedly lost $7.15 million. Rozier, now with 15 minutes of leaked FBI wiretaps, you can actually hear Rozier on the phone saying, "Tell them I'm coming out in the 9th minute mark. My ankle's going to be sore." Telling his childhood friend before the March 23rd, 2023 Hornets game, I'm coming out early with an injury. Bettors hammered the under on his props, $200,000 plus wagered. Rozier's played minutes was 9. Bets cashed, and cash gets delivered to him in a Papa John's pizza box. That's actually a true story. Then Damon Jones, shooting coach for LeBron. LeBron and AD's injury status to gamblers, or he leaked injury status to gamblers before Lakers games. One tip allegedly netted $250,000. And remember Jonte Porter, the guy who got banned for life in 2024? He's named as a co-conspirator, threatened by these same gamblers to keep underperforming or else. This isn't a few bad apples. This is organized crime with courtside seats. Adam Silver's statement, "We're reviewing the indictments." Translation, we got caught with our pants down. Because the NBA just isn't just allowing betting, they're married to it. Official partners to the NBA, DraftKings and FanDuel. NBA League Pass integrates live odds. So I don't watch NBA basketball. I'm not a basketball fan. But if you have NBA League Pass, you know what I'm talking about. While you're watching the game, it gives you live stats, live odds of the game and player props during the game. So you can live bet during the game. Broadcasters read DraftKings lines mid-game. The league makes hundreds of millions of dollars a year from data deals alone. They turn every rebound, every assist, every minute played into a derivative traders can short. And when the house needs a push, one early exit and the under hits. You think that ref swallowed his whistle on purpose? You think the star sat the fourth quarter because of load management, or because someone needed the under on his points, plus rebounds, plus assists? The day the NBA died, now with 15 minutes of leaked wiretaps, this is not good. Welcome to the NBA. The WWE with better actors and worse morals. Let's get to our first commercial. Tired of waking up sore from carrying the weight of a rigged world? Try MyPillow. Use promo code DTOM for 66% off. Because even if the games are fixed, your sleep doesn't have to be. MyPillow.com, promo code DTOM, 66% off. All right, we'll be back in a minute. All right. Now we have baseball joining the party. As I record this right now, it's the 10th of November. This broke yesterday on the 9th. I actually saw this pop up on my phone while I was at the game yesterday. If you heard about this, it's going to be something. So, yesterday the news broke on ESPN that Cleveland Guardians pitchers Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz are indicted in Brooklyn federal court. The charges: wire fraud, honest service fraud, bribery to influence sporting contest, and money laundering. What did they do? Well, the new indictment details dropped today. Clace withdrew $50,000 cash from a Cleveland ATM, handed $15,000 to a runner in a parking lot of Progressive Field, where they play. Ortiz threw a 78-mile-per-hour meatball on an 0-2 because the bet was first pitch of the 7th inning going under 80 miles an hour. That market exists for one pitch. One pitch. Clace starts texting Dominican bettors in May of 2023. Next pitch is a ball under 95 miles per hour. Better slam prop bets on velocity and location. One pitch lands in the dirt 10 feet short of the plate. Bettors win $58,000. Clace texts a sad puppy gif when he accidentally throws a strike. Ortiz joins in on June of 2025, June 15th game, agrees to throw a ball for a $5,000 bribe. On June 27th, another $7,000 bribe. Clace withdraws $50,000 cash, hands it to a bettor in Cleveland to place the wager. Total take for gamblers, at least $460,000. Pitchers cut, tens of thousands. These aren't fringe guys. Clace is a 3-time All-Star closer. Ortiz is a starter. MLB placed them on paid leave in July after unusual betting patterns on individual pitches. Translation: the books saw the fix and snitched. This is the same Eastern District Court of New York that just gutted the NBA. Same U.S. attorneys, Joseph Nokella, calling it a selling of the trust of the fans. But MLB's response? Crickets. Because they're addicted to the same revenue stream as the NBA. DraftKings is an official MLB betting partner. Every pitch now has a live line. Ball strike, velocity, location. One intentional ball, and the parlay hits. Think about that next time a closer grooves a 3-0 fastball down the middle in a save situation. You see where we're going with all this, right? Be back after the next commercial, guys. Hang tight. All right, guys. When the grid goes down and the games are fixed, you'll wish you had emergency food supply from My Patriot Supply. Use code DTOM, get you 20% off a 3-month kit, because beans don't care who wins in the fourth quarter. MyPatriotSupply.com, promo code DTOM. Be back in just a minute. All right, guys, let's follow the money. Real money. So, the NFL has a exclusive deal with Caesars, DraftKings, FanDuel. NFL's cut $1 billion over 5 years from DraftKings, FanDuel, and Caesars. That's before the microbet explosion. You can now bet on the results of the next play. Literally. FanDuel's next drive results: touchdown plus 650. One quarterback takes a knee instead of spiking it. One running back falls down at the one instead of scoring. Boom. Parlay hits. The NBA, DraftKings, and FanDuel pay 9 figures annually for data rights. MLB, similar deals. Every league now has official betting partner logos on their uniforms, courts, and the fields. Total U.S. sports betting revenue 2025 projected to be $15 billion. The league takes 1% off the top via integrity fees and data sales. That's $150 million split 4 ways before sponsorships. They banned Pete Rose for life for betting on baseball as a manager. Now they ban players for life while cashing checks from the same books. The hypocrisy level on this is Olympic. And who suffers? You, me, the fans. You pay $300 for a ticket. Your kid wears a jersey, you wear a jersey. You bet $50 on the over because the TV told you so. And some closer throw 3 balls and on purpose to his cousin in the Dominican Republic so that person can buy a Lamborghini. That's not sports. That's a hedge fund with better pyrotechnics. All right, let's get this last commercial break, and then we're going to hit the home run, so to speak. All right, guys. Gold is the only asset that's never gone to zero. Birch Gold Group, text DTOM to 989898 for your free info kit on physical gold IRAs, because when the games are rigged, at least your money isn't. We'll be back to wrap all this up here in just a second. All right, guys. So, here's the conspiracy part of the show. Are the leagues themselves fixing the games? So, here's the question you came for. Are the leagues deliberately scripting outcomes for betting revenue? Well, the hard evidence, we have none yet, no smoking gun. But circumstantial is a Mount Everest. Number 1, prop bets. Exploded after legalization. Why? Because they're easier to manipulate than game outcomes. One player exits early equals a cascade of wins. Load management skyrocketed. Coincidence? Or perfect cover for injuries, quote unquote, exits that cash unders. Sudden injuries, questionable tags that move lines 7 points. It's all the same playbook the NBA just got indicted for. Then you have referee scandals. They keep coming. Scott Foster, Tony Brothers. Games with massive betting swings. The NBA investigates itself and finds nothing. Shocker, right? The Jontay Porter case showed the monitoring systems work. They caught him immediately. So why didn't they catch Rozier in 2023? The NBA investigated and cleared him. Only the FBI with subpoena power found the text. Every league now has integrity monitors paid by the betting companies. That's like the fox guarding the hen house and paying itself in eggs. So here's my thought to all this before I get to the NFL, because that's where this whole thing kind of triggered for me. The Jontay Porter case showed that the monitoring systems worked, but they didn't catch Rozier. So why do you think that is? Now, in my thought process to all this, the conspiracy would go, if you want to believe the league's in on it, that would involve every player on every team, every coach, every referee to be in on it, right? So I don't feel that that's the case. My thought process goes more about individual players, okay? They have a player or two, a referee or two, a coach or two. Not on every team, but a player or two here, a coach or two there, a referee or two here. You know, how many referees are in any sporting event? You know, basketball, I think it's 5. Baseball, I think it's 4 or 5. Football, probably 6 maybe. So you don't necessarily need the whole umpire or refereeing group to be in on it. You just need 1 or 2 of those guys. You don't need all the players on one team to be in on it. You just need a couple of key players. You need a wide receiver, maybe. You need a quarterback or a kicker or you see what I'm saying? You see where I'm going with all this? Because I don't really do the betting. I dabbled a little bit on the Hard Rock situation because that's the only thing you can do in Florida. And I just like, this is bullshit. You know, you watch ESPN. If you watch ESPN on Sundays, they have a whole segment on betting with I think DraftKings or whoever it is their partner. And they tell you all the unders here and the overs there, and the so and so might run for so many over X amount. It's the over under on yardage, whether it's passing or running, or over and under on TD catches for this receiver, or TD passes for this quarterback, and so on and so forth. And that's where this all goes. So it's not so much that the league necessarily is in on we need the Dolphins to beat the Bills this weekend. I don't think that ultimately matters. I think when it comes down to it, yes, they do want certain teams. And this is kind of a fixed situation, but not so much a fix like wrestling is fixed in the outcome aspect of things. But they do want to make sure that certain teams get to the playoffs and get to the Super Bowl. Why? Because you don't want to see a Cleveland Browns and Houston Texans in the Super Bowl. I guess they couldn't be there in the same league, same conference. But you understand where I'm going with this. Who wants to see the Carolina Panthers versus the Cleveland Browns in the Super Bowl, other than the people in those respective areas? The nation wants to see the Chiefs or the Chiefs. Philadelphia. I mean, I think now people are getting burnout on the Chiefs in Philadelphia, so you will see the swing this year. It's probably going to be in the NFC, someone like the Lions, because when have the Lions ever been in a Super Bowl? None. So that would be a heartfelt story. On the AFC, who would you look? Who would you see? Maybe the Colts. Maybe the Patriots get a resurgence. I don't know. But it always never seems to fail. You think about, what was it, 5 years ago when Brady left the Patriots and he ended up in Tampa. His first year in Tampa, not only do they go to the Super Bowl, but they beat the shit out of the Chiefs, who were the great up-and-comer Chiefs. Like, I'm a Buccaneer fan, so obviously I was happy as hell, whatever. But I also posted something on Facebook. It was like the only touchdown the Chiefs saw, and that was the plane landing touchdown, right? Anyway, it does make you wonder if there are some fishy situations going on there, and it didn't really click. I was always under the guise of, here's the colors for the Super Bowl this year, and they're whatever colors. Oh, that's the Chiefs and the Eagles colors right there. Oh, that's who's going to be in the thing. And I think this year it's two types of blue. So that's why I'm thinking a lot of people are thinking more along the lines of Detroit and maybe the Bills or the Patriots or something like that. I don't know. I think a couple years ago it was supposed to be the colors represented more Baltimore or something, and they didn't make it. So it's kind of like, I was like, I just don't feel like the league could script it. You got too many players making too much money that want to win rings for them to sit down. But if you have a quarterback, or like I said, a wide receiver, a running back, a kicker, you don't need the whole team. You just need a couple of players. You just need a referee to make a bad call. And it didn't really hit me until yesterday. So the NFL microfix conspiracy, it's already happening. If two all-star pitchers can rig individual pitches for $5,000 to $12,000 bribes, why in the hell wouldn't NFL players do the same thing on individual plays? They don't need to throw the whole game. That's old school Pete Rose stupidity. This is 2025. This is micro fixing. Let me show you exactly how it works in the NFL right now. Quarterbacks are the easiest marks on the board. So the player prop would be passing yards under 275.5. How to fix it? Check down on 3rd and 8th instead of bombing it. take a sack on 2nd and long, slide at the 32 instead of the 28 to kill the clock, throw it away on 4th down instead of forcing it. For example, Josh Allen versus the Chiefs. This was last year. The line closed at 288.5 yards. Allen finished with 287. How? On the final drive, he takes 3 straight knees instead of trying to pad stats. I'm sorry, this was just a couple weeks ago. That was this year. Books paid out $14 million on the under. Allen's cousin in Buffalo just bought a new boat. Another one. Lamar Jackson's knee soreness last week listed full participant on Friday. Ruled out Sunday morning. The line moves the Raisins from 6.5 to 3. Someone made a $400 million on that flip. Pure coincidence? Right, Roger? Mobile QBs are gold mines. Rush yards under 45.5. Just don't scramble. Stay in the pocket like a statue. One text, I'm staying in today. 50,000 wired to the Caymans. Running backs, the Derrick Henry special. Player prop, rushing yards under 92.5. How to fix? Fall forward for 2 instead of breaking in it for an 8-yard run. Step out at the 1-yard line instead of scoring. We've seen this 3 times this season. Fumble forward on a 3-and-1 to stop the clock. Bijan Robinson, week 6. He plays for Atlanta. The line was 88.5 yards. He's at 89 with 1.20 left on the game. Instead of cutting outside for a 12 more, he runs straight down into his own lineman and gets stuffed for a 1-yard loss. The under hits. Atlanta's equipment guy posts a new Rolex on IG the next day. Wide receivers. The Tyreek Hill slide. The player prop on that was receivers yards under 110.5. How to fix? Run out of bounds at the 45 instead of the 50. Drop an 18-yard dig on the 3rd down. Hamstring tightness in the 3rd quarter. Sit the whole 4th. Calvin Ridley. Remember him? Suspended for betting on games. Now he's back. You think he's learned his lesson or just learned how to be smarter? Then you take the tight ends and the defense. The hidden gold. Travis Kelce over 6.5. The over was for 6.5 catches. If you take the over 6.5 catches, just run a 3-yard curl and sit down. 7, easy, right? Sack props. Defensive end takes a wide rush. Lets the QB step up. No sack. The under hits. The microbet markets that make it impossible to police. FanDuel right now. Live during games. Next play results. Pass, run, turnover. The next drive, punt before the 40-yard line, is an over of 275. Will the QB throw for an incompletion on 3rd down? If you said yes, it's a 120 bet. One player controls all of these. One text message. One decision. $500,000 swing. The debt trap. How they get hooked. The rookie contract in the NFL is $900,000 a year. Signing bonus goes on cars and chains. Enter the quote-unquote financial advisor, who's actually a bookie. Lose $400,000 on UFC fights. The bookie says, no problem. Just slide on that 3rd and 6 next week, and we'll call it even. Same playbook they got Jonte Porter. Same one they got Clace and Ortiz. The cover-up? Why we haven't seen indictments yet? The NBA got caught because the books snitched. Unusual betting patterns flagged by Genius Sports. NFL books are the league's partners. They're not snitching, they're profiting. But the FBI doesn't care about partnerships. Same Eastern District of New York that just indicted 34 people, including Chauncey Billups, they're coming. Mark my words. Super Bowl 60, a starting quarterback gets indicted for throwing a pick on 2 and 15th in a blowout because the bet was, will there be a turnover before the 2-minute mark? Yes, plus 240. The final proof, it's already started. November 4th, 2024. Chiefs versus Bucks. Patrick Mahomes' line was 42.5 rush yards. He finished with 41. How? On a 3rd and 2 scramble, he slides at the 41 instead of the 45. $22 million cashed on the under worldwide. Coincidence? Or the first domino? So, why did I bring this up? Okay, I was able to watch that game yesterday. Now, I don't know how you guys are with football, okay? Or any sporting event for that matter. I just cannot watch football to watch football. I'm very passionate about watching my teams play, whether it's the Bucks, college football, whether it's the Gators. I don't give a shit about LSU and Georgia or whoever. I don't care. I don't care about the Bills and the Dolphins. I don't care. I went with my friend. He cared. I supported him. We had fun. We drank a few beers. We had fun. I mean, he didn't because they lost and he was pissed, but I get it. I get it. I didn't care because those are my teams. But it allowed me to watch the game because I'm there. I have to watch the game. I'm at the football game. It's not like if I'm at home, I can be like, I'd rather watch, a movie or whatever. I don't care. But if I'm at the game, I'm watching the game. And the idiosyncrasies of the teams and how they played. And Josh Allen in particular, fumbling the ball. He breaks, needed a 1 yard. It was 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, whatever it was. He breaks it. Breaks the line. And he's running, I don't know, he gets about 8 or so yards down the field, fumbles the ball. Miami picks it up. I'm not implicating any one particular player. I'm just looking at silly mistakes. Another play. 3rd and whatever. Josh Allen rolls out. Wide receiver open right in his face in the middle of the field. He throws it out of bounds. It's those types of things. Now you could sit there and say, okay, well, if they lose to the Dolphins, does it really hurt their playoffs chances? More than likely it does not. But it could change the betting odds of them making it to the playoffs, or better yet, the Super Bowl. And what I mean by that is, let's say before yesterday's games, I don't know this, but let's just assume that the Bills were one of the favorites to make the Super Bowl this year. Still early, still a lot of football to play. But if their percentage of making the Super Bowl was really high on Saturday, then that loss, the Patriots win, they beat the Bucks, and these teams win and these teams lose. I know it's any given Sunday. I get all that bullshit. I'm just looking at what it looks like to me. Could you afford to take the loss to the Dolphins, drop your stock in Super Bowl odds to ensure other people to throw money on that, only for you to be able to make it to the Super Bowl down the road? You understand what I'm saying? The NFL isn't rigged top to bottom like the WWE. It's rigged bottom up by 1,000 tiny cuts. 1 yard here, 1 slide there, 1 early exit. Death by 1 million prop bets. Roger Goodell makes $60 million a year to pretend he doesn't see it. The players make $1 to $50 million to look the other way. And you pay $300 for a ticket to watch the scripted stat line. This isn't football anymore. This is Wall Street with shoulder pads. When the first quarterback gets perp walked and handcuffs for throwing a game 1 yard at a time, remember, you heard it here first. And I fear that this is not only in professional sporting events. I kind of feel like this is hitting in college games, especially football and possibly basketball. 2 of the most popular college sports out there. And why do I say that? I'm going to use a personal reference. Gators, Georgia. Gators were actually playing a pretty damn good game. looked like they might have been able to win that game. They didn't. Whatever. Final score of that game was 24-21. Georgia beat the Gators. And you're thinking, okay, what's the big deal? They beat them by 3 points. The spread on that game was 7.5 points. Do you guys know what happened towards the end of that game? If you watched it, you know what happened? Quarterback for Georgia broke a run. Could have scored easily. Knelt at the 2-yard line, 1-yard line, whatever it was. And the announcers were like, oh, look, he's being a good sport. He's not trying to rub it in. He's taking a knee. Good sportsmanship, blah, blah, blah. But on TikTok and on Facebook, different, where you can watch videos that people posted, one guy took the over. And when that dude took the knee, he lost his shit. Why? Because he would have won. If he had scored, it would have been 30 or 31, assuming they would have made the extra point, to 21. 10-point spread. 9 points, 10 point, whatever it is. Over, under was 7.5 points. You see what I'm saying? It makes you wonder. Now that these players are being paid through NIL and those types of things, could it be possibly that quarterback took the knee on purpose, not to show good sportsmanship and rub it, not by scoring a touchdown and rubbing it in? We've already won the game. I don't need to score again just to rub it in. Is it good sportsmanship, or was there something else involved there? It's a little harder to find the money in college football like it was a few years ago, because this quarterback, I don't even know his name, but he could have an NLA situation where he's making $1 million or so a year at Georgia. So if he shows up to school in a Corvette, no one's going to think anything about it because NIL. What if he shows up in school on Monday in a Corvette because he took that knee and someone made $1 million because of it? I think the next time you watch a sporting event, especially NFL or college football, pay attention. I don't believe in college football. I could be wrong, but I don't believe in college football there's player props. I don't think you can say DJ Lagway for the Gators is going to throw for 300 yards or less, whatever it is. You take the over or under, or whatever. I don't think they do that in college. That's more pros. But there is just a straight line. Indiana's favored by 5.5 points to beat whoever, and you take the over or the under on that. So obviously, it's a little harder to nickel and dime, so to speak, the bettors in that situation like it is in pro sports. But just the line of the game, if you, like I said, you just look at that Florida Georgia game 2 weeks ago, the over-under was 7.5 points. They won by 3. So if you just picked Georgia to win, you really wouldn't have won much money because that was expected. They were expected to win. The money there would have been if you picked Florida to win and then Florida won, you would have made more money. Do you understand what I'm saying? But if you pick Georgia to beat Florida by 7.5 points or more, you bet $20, you would have won $50. Or Georgia wins by 3 and you win 0 because you took the line. That's where it gets interesting. So I want to give you a couple examples on that Miami Bills game. Okay, so the game ended with a score of Dolphins 30, Buffalo 13. So the Dolphins obviously pulled a massive upset. So the spread on that game was Buffalo to win by 9.5 points. So in essence, it was flipped. So like it should have been 30 to say 20. Buffalo 30, Miami 20. And if you had bet that, you would have won. The Dolphins were favored to lose by 9.5 points. They won by what? What was it again? So they won by 18, right? 17. So if you took the Dolphins to win minus the spread, and you put, say, let's see, I think I have it here. Let me find that. What? Not let me. See, I'm not good with these because I don't bet, so I don't really pay attention to all that. But I think if it was like if you bet $50 for the Dolphins to win minus the spread, you won like $160 or some shit like that. You see what I'm saying? Whereas if you would have taken the Bills to win, and let's say they won, they covered, you would have won like $70. It's not there because it was expected. You understand? And then you have the breakdown. So, the money line was plus $400 for a $100 bet for the Dolphins. Whereas if you had picked the Bills, you wouldn't have really won much. The over-under total points was 49.5. The combined points was 43, so the under hit easily. A low-scoring upset. This is one of the biggest upsets of this year so far. The Dolphins snapped a losing streak to Buffalo, covered as nearly double-digit home underdogs, and delivered a monster payout for moneyline bettors. Then you look at the passing yards. The passing yards for Josh Allen, the over-under was 230 yards. He actually had 306, so he hit the over. Total TDs, the over/under for the Bills was 2.5. If you pick zero, if you pick the under, you would have won. But who would have taken the under on that game? So that's the key. If not accusing anybody, but if Josh Allen is in on it, if he let somebody know he was going to have a bad game, maybe they put $100 on the under on 2.5 touchdowns. Passing yards for Tua Tagovailoa, whatever his name is. Passing yards was 219.5. He passed for 173 was the under. Passing TDs was over/under was 1.5. Passed 2 TDs. So the key is a lot of these stats are based on averages of what that individual player has done so far this year. So on top of that, they might say, okay, Tua usually throws for 1 or 2 TDs a game. However, Buffalo has a really good secondary, so it'll probably be under 2, so we'll put it at 1.5. He ends up throwing for 2. You take the over, you win big money. That would inquire that somebody or somebodies on the defense would have to be on the take. And then maybe the Bills just had a bad day. So like I said, I'm not trying to accuse any one individual player. I'm just throwing examples out to you. Devon Archin, he's the money back. He's the money back. He's the running back for Miami. His rushing yards was over under 75.5 yards. He ran for 174 yards. His over-under was based on an average minus the Bills' defensive line. He ran for almost 100 yards over that. And so on and so forth. I'm not going to go through every single player and what they did, but you get the idea of what I'm saying. Is that if this is true, and I know I'm picking on a few different players. I'm basing it on a game that I physically watched and had no emotion in the game. You see what I'm saying? And it's when you watch a game and you don't have any emotion in the game. I don't bet on games. I don't do what's that shit called, the fantasy football. I don't do that shit because I'm a diehard Bucs fan. It's hard for me to have a fantasy football team and say, oh, I need Josh Allen to throw for 300 yards, and I need receiver of this team to, I can't do that because if I'm going to have a fantasy league, I'm going to have Baker, I'm going to have Evans, I'm going to have these. It's going to be a Buccaneer team. That's just how I am. I can't root for another team or another player. I can't do it. But bet your ass, everyone that was sitting around us at this game was watching. I'm watching on their phones. I could see their phones. They're watching their fantasy league the whole time during this game. I maybe I'm just an old man and I'm crazy, but I can tell you what, there was people older than me there doing that fantasy football shit. I just can't do it. Anyway, so these things hit harder than just in betting. It hits you in the fantasy league because you might not be a Bills fan and you could probably give two shits, but if Josh Allen's your starting quarterback on your fantasy league, then you see what I'm saying? Or if the running back from Miami, if you have him as one of your running backs, I did fantasy football one year and I actually won and they accused me of cheating. Go figure. But anyway, if you happen to have that running back on your fantasy league, but you're like, he doesn't really do much. He's not gonna do anything against the Bills. I'm gonna sit him and I'm gonna start, whoever. And then this dude runs for 174 yards. You're like, what the fuck? He would have gotten me 12 points or whatever, That's the kind of shit that drives these people crazy. So I can watch a game like the Bills and the Dolphins and not really give a shit about the outcome, who wins, who loses, what QB does what, and receiver and running back. I don't care because it doesn't matter to me. And that's when I started to look. And then I started to think about that Gator-Georgia game and that last play of the game where the quarterback kneeled. And I was like, what was the line on that game? 7.5 points. So him kneeling didn't affect the outcome of the game because they still won. It doesn't matter if they won by 3, if they won by 10. It doesn't matter. They won. That's ultimately what matters. If you're a Georgia fan, you're happy as shit. They won. Who cares if it was by 10 or 3? They won. But if you bet on that game and you took Georgia to cover, you're pissed. Even though you might be a Georgia fan and you're happy as shit because they won, you're still pissed because you lost your money. And that's where I'm going with all this. It's not so much the teams that win or lose, it's what happens during the game. And if this is happening in the NBA, now you obviously have the one situation with the poker games and stuff. That's a different entity. But if you look at the players that are involved in going out in the third quarter, or my knee hurts here, or the trainer telling people that LeBron's probably not going to play because of whatever reason, or you have these injuries on the field in football where, the quarterback lays there for a minute and he has to come out for a snap or whatever, or the team's even possibly having some indication or some play on the lines where it's like the Ravens are favored by 7.5 points because Lamar Jackson's playing, and then come Sunday morning he's not playing and the line drops, but you already bet on the over on 7.5 points or whatever it was. You understand what I'm saying about this? Now, I'm not prolific in the betting and all this stuff, but when you have these leagues who take money from these betting, 5 years ago this was illegal. Unless you were in Vegas or Atlantic City, all of this was illegal. Now they have apps on your phone that you can, I think it's 39 states in this country, have legal sports betting. Depending on your state and your laws, it depends. Like in Florida, you can only use Hard Rock bets. And that's a deal that the state signed with the Seminole Indian tribe that own all the Hard Rocks and yada, yada, yada. But in your state, it might be DraftKings. It might be all of them. I don't know. But 4 or 5 years ago, it was illegal. You had to go to Vegas or Atlantic City to bet on these games. You couldn't do it from your couch in the middle of the game. You couldn't bet. Like when I did dabble for a little bit because my son talked me into it. And it was like, let's say you had a bet on whatever the game was. Let's say you had player props. Not so much the game, who's going to win. Because I felt like that jinxed me. If I said, well, the Bucks are going to win, and then the Bucks would lose, I'd be like, I jinxed myself. I'm crazy like that. But if you bet for the running back to score a touchdown at any time in the game, and then he scores a touchdown, you'll get an alert on your phone saying, do you think he'll score another? Do you think Bucky Irving will score a touchdown in the second half? Your odds are this. Put $10 more down. Your chances of winning could be $100, whatever it was. And you're like, yeah, he's fucking running the ball like a beast. And then let's say, DraftKings or Hard Rock Bets or whoever puts that alert out to everyone that's betting on the game, and I'm just using the Bucks as an example, but any game, and you bet on a specific running back or wide receiver or quarterback to do something that they've already achieved, then they entice you to put a little bit more money down for that person to do something else. And maybe they're balling out, they're going crazy, and you think, yeah, no problem, he's going to score another touchdown. And then you do, and he doesn't. Who benefits? You don't benefit. You just lost your money. But the sports books make their money. I think there's a lot more to this story that's going to hit before it's all said and done. Because I would think it looks like this attorney in New York there is really paying attention to this. You have 2 pitchers that hit yesterday. What's the chances that, how many more games do we have this year? I think 9, so we have 8 more games, right? They play 17 games, I think. So, with excluding playoffs and whatnot, you have 9 more regular season games left. Would it be a surprise to anybody that if prior to the playoffs, you don't maybe see some arrest? Whether it's players, referees, because I think they could be in on it too. Not all of them, but some of them. Surely you watched a game and you were pissed off because the referee made a bad call. What's the chances? I'm going to take the over. Those chances are pretty good. So, my advice to you is this. Stock up on gold, guns, canned foods, because when the NFL bubble bursts, the whole economy can go with it. Don't bet on rigged games. Bet on yourself. What do you think about that? Come on, music, start. It would have been seamless if I was faster. All right, guys. Please, the league makes more money when games are close and go into overtime. More bets, more handle, more data fees. You think it's an accident the fourth quarter comeback are at all-time high, or that NBA games have 47 fouls called in the last 2 minutes? I'm not saying that the commissioners are in a bunker with a remote control, but I am saying the incentives are perfectly aligned for corruption. When the mafia is texting you, your star player, about his prop bets, the game is already over. So my final thoughts are, sports used to be the last mediocrity. Poor kid from Akron could become king. Now, that king might be shaving points to a bookie, so a bookie in New York can pay his vig. We trade purity for profit, and we're just getting started. The NFL is next, mark my words. When the first quarterback gets indicted for throwing a pick on purpose, remember, you heard it here first, guys. Please, make sure you follow the show on Don't Tread on America on Facebook, Instagram, True Social, and Ticker Talker. And, of course, on the Twitter X Machine, DTOM Podcast 1776. Follow the show. The website's DontTreadonMerica.com. If you want to email me, hit me up, DonQ at DontTreadonMerica.com. Guys, whatever podcast app you're listening to this on, please make sure you're following the show. You share this with your friends. If you're on Apple or Spotify, give me a rating, please. It doesn't take you but a second. And remember, bet on yourself and never let them tread on you. Have a great day. See ya.